Welcome to the Hoopsville National Invitational Classic. Interviews with many of the coaches. I'm Dave McHugh of Hoopsville, and joined by Pat Cunningham, who Mike DeWitt would call a friend of everybody, from Trinity, Texas. Team got a win over Keystone to start. It was a battle for about 3/4 of that game before you guys finally were able to pull away.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm your friend for sure, Dave. So.
Thank you.
But yeah, it was a good game for us today. We it was a battle back and forth, and both of us were making some threes, and then at the last fourth of the game, last 5 or 7 minutes or so, they started missing shots, and I think that really helped us to kind of pull away a little bit.
You will take on Ohio Wesleyan in the final game on Saturday. In a battle of friends, for all jokes aside, but it's a big game for both. Ohio Wesleyan wants to rebound. You guys want to keep the momentum after a tough start to the season. What are you going to tell the guys? How you prepare?
Well, it's interesting, David, because I mean, for us, the biggest thing is right now at this part of the season for us, it's about trying to get better every game. And I know that's coach talk, but it really is true for us. We started off the season just we weren't playing very well against Whitworth and Pacific Lutheran out in Puget Sound, and then we played much better on Sunday against Puget Sound, and then I thought we played well tonight. So, for us, it's less about Ohio Wesleyan and more about Trinity, and can we, do the things that we need to do and against whatever team it's against. So it's about getting better every day and doing the things we need to do.
A couple of things that's interesting with the start of the season. Let's start with the travel out in the Northwest. Now you're here in the Mid-Atlantic. In 2 weeks, you'll be in Chicago, in your old haunts at Chicago. A lot of travel to start this season. You're kind of taking the Mary Hardin-Baylor approach from last year's NCAA tournament by traveling all over. Was that by design or was it by happenstance?
No, it was both, but mostly by design. In that in Texas, there's our conference and then the American Southwest Conference. So, and the American Southwest Conference plays 22 of the 25 games in conference, and there's only so many weekends or dates that you can play those days. So it's really hard to get non-conference games in Texas. So that being said, we're fortunate that our administration wants us to play against good people and good competition, and we recruit out of the Pacific Northwest and California, and then the tournament you guys put on here is just a first-class operation with a lot of good teams and a lot of good schools in it, and then obviously University of Chicago, and we're playing Albion up there. So the design is to play against good competition, good schools, and allow our student athletes to experience some of the things that we'd all like to experience relative to the travel and that. And the nice part of it is that in our conference now, it's changed a little bit, and so now we'll only take, in the second semester, we'll only take one trip to Colorado in the second semester, and everything else is back in the same day.
I was going to say that the difference is happening. SCAC used to travel all over the place. Birmingham Southern used to be in that conference, and others where you really had a lot of travel. Now they split off, made the SAA, so you guys have less of the extreme travel that you had in the conference. So this has kind of replaced it a little bit, and not a conference play.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, we're able to, again, offer our student athletes experience of playing different people at different places. And, we used to do it through our conference, and now we don't have that, so we do it through our non-conference. And I think it's great for them to be able to experience that. And, it's nice to be able to go play different people and see, this event is unbelievable just from the standpoint you can see a lot of different people from a lot of different places play all in one spot.
Of course, you're not traveling to Center in Kentucky, but you're traveling to the Puget Sound area and the Baltimore area, but we certainly appreciate you taking the time. Another factor about your team that I think is important is you're without your best player right now, so a lot of guys are having to step up in some ways.
Yeah, it's two things. One is every year is a different year. I think every coach will tell you. I mean, it's even if you got everybody back, some roles are a little bit different and what have you not. So, but Zach Lambert has mono and has not been able to practice yet, so we probably won't have him until January. So the good part of that is that, as you said, some other players are going to have to play a few more minutes and get some game experience and do those learn how to adapt to each other, and then hopefully when we get Zach back, they'll be able to blend in and make us that much better come January and February when we get in our conference play.
Well, I was going to say, you may be inadvertently deeper on the bench in January than you would have been normally.
I think absolutely we will be. I mean, we're forced to play some few more players and learn what they can and can't do. Especially last weekend playing 3 games in 3 days, and now coming in here again back to back. So 5 games in what is it, 8 or 9 days. You get a little bit tired, so you got to go to your bench a little bit. So find out what they can offer and what they can do.
How's the SCAC shaping up this year? How do you see from at top to bottom?
Well, and I'm not sure if we came out with our poll yet, but I think based upon last year and what people have back, I think Colorado College and ourselves should be at or near the top. I mean, I think relative to this year coming up, with I think the two best teams based upon people coming back. Now, what everybody has this year, I really don't know, but Southwestern has gotten better. Centenary has most of their team back. They could surprise some people, although they're not eligible for the NCAA tournament. And then, Texas Lutheran and Shriner, even though we played them last year non-conference, are a little bit of a unknown relative to conference play and what they have. So Texas Lutheran is a whole new team from last year, and Shriner has a lot of new players too. So I don't know what to expect from them. And then Dallas and Austin, I think will be about the same or a little bit better than they were last year. And Dallas finished, I think, third in the conference last year. So.
And quickly about the tournament, you touched on a bit, getting a chance to see a lot of different styles. You played Keystone in the first game, you play Ohio Wesleyan in the second, playing different styles in that sense. Is that the goal of making a trip like this?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I was just talking to Jeff Brown from Middlebury as before we started talking here, and in the NESCAC they'll never face anything like Stevenson, but it's good to be able to have to face that. It's like us. We will not play a team like Keystone in our conference, but it's good to play different styles, because ultimately the goal is to win your conference and get to the tournament, and you have to play against different kinds of people. And Manheim-Baylor would be similar to Keystone or a Stevenson, but they're not in our league, but they're in Texas, and so yeah, it is good. It's good to see different people in different areas and how they play and go against different styles.
Well, we certainly enjoy having you here in the Baltimore area. Thanks for joining us. As always, I give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be watching?
Well, again, if anybody in the area, if they get a chance to come out and watch this, it's some great basketball. And then secondly, both Brett and Adams, yourself and Gary, what a great tournament, and we sure appreciate you allowing us to come out here and be a part of this. So we certainly have enjoyed it thus far.
It's always great to have a Texas team out here in Baltimore. We appreciate you taking the time. He is Coach Pat Cunningham from Trinity, Texas. Again, if you're watching this and they haven't played it, they have one more game to play. It'll be against Ohio Wesleyan on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern time. If you're catching it afterward, we'll check them out and see how they did. We'll certainly talk with more coaches along the way here on the Hoopsville National Invitational Classic interviews throughout the weekend.